Hey everybody, welcome back to I Know a Guy. I'm Anthony, and this is the podcast where connections thrive. Each episode, we spotlight inspiring entrepreneurs, professionals, and individuals doing amazing things. Together, we'll grow your circle, spark collaborations, and discover new opportunities. Today, we're meeting Anthony Lanciano, owner of AM Freight Management LLC, a family-owned freight brokerage specializing in nationwide trucking and transportation services. With a commitment to reliable and efficient logistics, Anthony ensures businesses get their products where they need to go seamlessly and on time. How you doing today, Anthony?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good. Excited to have you here. You're doing some cool things. I think there's people out there that kind of like to get to know you a little bit. So starting off, where are you located? Where are you calling in from?
Absolutely. Well, we're located in Millville, Pennsylvania. It's just central Pennsylvania, right by the Bloomsburg exit. Originally from Long Island, New York. We relocated here about 6 months ago, and we operate nationwide. So location isn't really imperative to our performance as a business, but Pennsylvania has become our new home, and we love it.
Okay. Well, the reason I ask is because if you have people coming in that have never been there, some friends coming into town, where are you going? Where are you taking them? What are you doing? And what are you doing for dinner?
Well, if we're gonna go out to dinner, I'm gonna find the closest five-star Italian restaurant. That's for sure. We're not really as a freight brokerage, everything's pretty much telephone based, so it's not like everything is anybody's coming into the office or out of the office. We deal with companies as far out as California, all the way to New York, and then north and south as well. So in regards to customer bases coming in, it's very rare that I'm meeting one on one with these clients because usually I am a couple states away from where they're located. But if there was a local opportunity to be had, I wouldn't have a problem meeting up with them and taking them out someplace nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So 5-star Italian. I don't know if I've ever had 5-star Italian. I've had some pretty
As
good.
close as close to it as you can. We probably have to go to Manhattan for that.
Yeah, gotcha. Awesome. So what can you tell us about what you do? What's A&M Freight?
So AM Freight Management, we're a family-owned and operated freight brokerage, just like the intro said. We align transportation for our clients' freight from business to business, whether it's from a raw materials producer to a manufacturing facility or from a manufacturing facility to the end retail location. Um, my background comes from trucking initially. I've been an owner-operator for the last decade, running my own trucks. Um, so I'm very familiar with how the trucking industry runs from the inside instead of just from being on the outside. I'm very familiar with the requirements that certain types of freight need, and the requirements that these truckers need in order to get the load done and done safely and efficiently. So that kind of gives us a little bit of a upper hand on the competition in regards to when we're quoting out lanes, when we're telling them when they can expect certain things. Um, we're very forthright and upfront with our customers. We don't try to sugarcoat anything just to get the sale. So if I know something, if the customer calls me and says, "Listen, I need this. I need it done in 3 days. Can I get it done?" I'm not gonna, sugarcoat it. If I know that, hey, listen, it's gonna take 4.5 days for them to do it legally, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and say, yeah, 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 yeah. Because all that does is create problems down in the long run, makes me look bad, and now you get an unsatisfied customer. So I always, am very upfront with them. But even when it comes down to securement methods, certain niches within the trucking industry, like flatbed and open deck, that's where I specialize in. If I look at a load, a customer needs something shipped, I could look at it and I can say, okay, this is definitely what we're going to need. I know what kind of trucks to source out. Make sure they have X, Y, and Z for securement or protection. Certain materials like tongue and groove wood, that stuff needs really careful edge protection when the guys strap it down. I know what to look for and stuff like that. So I'm a little bit ahead of the game, learning curve wise, as a lot of other um, outfits out there. But basically, we are responsible for making sure that we vet the carriers. We make sure that they're DOT compliant, they're insurance compliant, make sure they don't have 100 violations on their DOT records in regards to vehicle maintenance, to make sure that we're hiring somebody that is reputable and reliable and is not going to get put out of service on the way there and cause a 24-hour delay or breakdown. Breakdowns always happen. That's part of trucking, especially in the wintertime. But it helps us mitigate the chances of that carrier breaking down if we see that, okay, we know they take care of their equipment. They've had 5 inspections in the last year and no violations in regards to vehicle maintenance. They're a good carrier. Or they've had 5 inspections in the last year and every single one of them they've gotten put out of service, or they've gotten tickets for, unadjusted brakes or tire tread depth. There's a lot of stuff to look at. And then after that, we facilitate the scheduling between both parties. We oversee the transportation. And then at the end of the day, we handle carrier payments as well. So we basically take the entire transportation process out of our customers' hands, allowing them to focus on what's important, and that's running their operations and obtaining new customers on their end so that they can increase their sales.
Okay. So how'd you get started doing this? Is this something you've always wanted to do, or how did that come about?
Trucking was something that I always wanted to do. As a kid, my grandfather was a trucker. I always used to hear stories of him. That's what kind of got me into the trucking end of it. And then the freight brokerage became an option as I wanted to expand and I wanted to keep just going after new endeavors. The freight brokerage is much more scalable than a trucking company. A trucking company is definitely scalable. I've done it, but instead of $100,000 every time I want to hire a new guy, because I got to buy another truck, I got to buy another trailer, I got to make sure that they're insured. I got to make sure that the drivers that I hire are insurable. There's a lot of CDL guys out there that aren't insurable. Scaling a brokerage is much more cost effective. So that was one option and one reason. And the other reason is I've been on the road for 8 years now. I got 3 kids and I got a wife, and I get to be home a lot more with them with the freight brokerage as per when I was trucking. When I'm out on the road, I'm gone for at least a week. And then when I come home, I'm also my own mechanic, so I'm working on the trucks and making sure they're ready to go for the next week. So the freight brokerage has opened up a lot more of a family life for me. So that was also a very important thing.
Absolutely, yeah. That would be really important. So what is it that you love about what you're doing?
I definitely love helping customers get their freight moved in a reliable fashion. Being in the industry for so long on both ends of it, from the trucking end of it, before I started the brokerage, I've witnessed firsthand how much other brokerages tend to be dishonest with certain customers. I've shown up at locations where the customers were dumbfounded in regards to the requirements that load needed, compared to what they were told, or timelines and whatnot. But also on the brokerage end, it's very satisfying to be able to know that I'm taking care of these customers, and at the end of the day, I'm helping them succeed. One of our mottos that we go by is that your success is our success, because if you were to treat a customer like a one and done every time you're servicing them, and you're just chasing that big dollar, and you're just chasing your own end game, it doesn't get you very far in any business that you operate in. So us knowing that we're taking care of our customers and we're helping them succeed, we're going the extra mile, we're calling their customers and making sure that they were happy with our services and even the product that they got, even though we have nothing to do with the manufacturing process of the product. We still go above and beyond and make sure that their customers are happy, because that increases our customer sales, which in the long run increases our sales, as long as we keep doing a good job.
Okay. What about an average client? What does that look like for you, the avatar of that? Or what are the pain points that somebody might be facing that you're the one they should be talking to if they're dealing with X, Y, or Z?
Pain point wise, if you're getting tired of constant dropouts and constant promises, a lot of times freight brokerages will try to push that bottom dollar. The chase to the bottom is called, and they're hiring whoever's willing to take the bottom dollar, and a lot of times that causes cancellations because that carrier could find a new load that pays better, and they don't have a relationship with that broker, so they don't care if they cancel on them, which then hurts the customer in the long run and in the short run. And what was the first part of the question?
Just basically what the average client looks like.
Our average client is really anything within the blue collar industries. I do specialize in open deck transportation, flatbed, step deck, RGN, but I do handle drive in as well. Our customers range from septic installation companies to hay sales and hay farmers, um, concrete plants. We service concrete plants, and whether it's precast, transportation, or even bag concrete. Um, Container sales and rentals. We have a couple container sales and rentals companies that we transport the containers that they buy from the depots to their resale locations. So it's a very wide range of customers that we service. Basically, anybody that requires transportation, especially in the full truckload sector, um, is an ideal customer for us. We don't have a requirement in regards to size, in regards to frequency. I have certain customers that only call me twice a year, and I'm still just as happy to help them out as I am the customers that call me twice a day. So it's kind of more of a personalized approach that we take. We don't discriminate on how much freight you need moved or anything like that, or the type of freight. We just want to make our customers happy, and we appreciate the fact that they appreciate our service quality.
Okay. How about power partners? What are other professionals or people out there that you find a lot of synergies with, referrals with, or collaborations with?
I get a lot of my referrals I get from my existing customers, of course, but also truckers. I have a relationship with a lot of truck drivers that most brokers don't have because I came from that end of it. So I can relate to them, and they appreciate that. So a lot of times when a trucker will, see how I operate, and they know that I go above and beyond for my customers, but also for them, because listen, if a broker isn't getting all the information they need, it makes the trucker's life harder. Because if they're not told that an appointment time has to be met at a certain time, or if they're not told that they need X, Y, and Z to complete this load, and then they show up and then they get blindsided, and there's all this extra stuff that they have to go through to complete that load that wasn't agreed upon in the original agreement, that can make their life, very difficult, which then also affects the customers because it creates a poor customer quality service experience. So when the truckers that I deal with, they see how I operate, and they see that I'm very involved in the step-by-step process throughout the entire way. I'm not just dumping it on them and telling them, listen, hey, handle it, figure it out. I'm very proactive in regards to how I handle my freight. So it does bring in a bunch of referrals on that end as well, because these truckers go to other locations and they deal with other people. And every once in a while I'll get a phone call and say, hey, listen, X, Y, and Z, they referred me to you. I was using this broker, and they weren't really, accomplishing what I needed. So I figured, and then they give me a try, and then a lot of times those customers are customers for life now because they love the way I handle service.
So going from where you were, just kind of being independent to being a broker now, you've seen a lot of it. You've worked with a lot of people that do it. What advice would you give to a new or aspiring entrepreneur?
Entrepreneur in general, or entrepreneur just in the freight and trucking industry?
Well, either or.
Okay, well, a general entrepreneurial advice that I can give is don't give up. You're going to get your teeth kicked in and day out. There's going to be weeks at a time where you don't have a single day where you're happy. They're going to happen as part of running the business, no matter what industry you're in. You're going to have those weeks where you're constantly getting knocked down. Nothing's going right. The people that you hire out are not fulfilling their promises, or the customers are switching things up on you or canceling loads altogether. And it's just, you're going to feel like you're in the dark with no light at the end of the tunnel. But I promise you, the light is there. It comes out. You just got to keep going at it, keep thinking positively, and just be the best you can be today, tomorrow, and the day after, because at the end of the day, that's all you can really do as a person, no matter what industry you're in. You gotta just keep striving to be the best day in and day out, and your customers will appreciate it, and they'll see it as long as you're fulfilling what your promises are.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. It doesn't matter what you're doing, as long as you're focused on that, you're going to be doing good. So how can businesses choose the right freight brokerage?
Businesses can choose the right freight brokerage by asking the tricky questions. I actually have a list on my website, 5 major questions to ask any freight brokerage that you're about to hire. And one of the main one of the main questions I would suggest to ask is, do you cap your commission? Um, as on the trucking end, I've caught brokers doing it to me. It's created a big issue within the trucking community. The truckers have actually aligned and gotten the government involved now, trying to pass a couple laws, transparency laws, where the brokers have to show the truckers now what they're getting from their customers. I've caught brokers taking 50 to 60% off a load before, off of my trucks, and it's definitely it creates a salty feeling, and it's created a lot of rift within the trucking industry. Um, ask that broker if they cap the commissions. We cap at 20%. We never take more. If we were ever to find a truck that was to run a load and would put us over the 20%, because our commissions are included with the bids that we give to our customers already. So if I bid a customer out and I was to find a truck to haul that load and I made more than 20%, I automatically discount on that final invoice when the load is delivered. There's no detention times, there's no hold times, there's no extra expenses. That invoice now gets sent automatically discounted to that 20% rate. On average, over the last year, we do anywhere between 8 and 12%. So our loads have been pretty spot on with the rates that we're quoting. But that's definitely one of the biggest. Transparency is the biggest key in business. I know a lot of those new transparency laws. They created a lot of rift with a lot of the bigger outfits out there, and I was actually smiling ear to ear when they came out with them, because I'm already transparent with my carriers. I tell them exactly what I'm making off a load if they ask me to, and it's also something that I'm very transparent with my customers with as well. If they ever asked, I have no problem telling them how much the truck ran for. Just be honest, and then other questions is experience wise, what kind of experience do you guys have? Not every broker is going to have hands-on experience like I do. Not every broker ran their own trucks for 10 years. They don't necessarily need to, though. It's just a matter of experience. What kind of qualifications does that brokerage have so that they can get the freight done? Have they ever moved an oversized load before? Have they ever moved refrigerated freight before? Have they ever moved, a load particular to what this customer is trying to move before? And this allows them to decide whether or not they want to work with them.
Okay. How can a nationwide trucking solutions optimize supply chain efficiency?
Well, 9 out of 10 trucking companies out there are nationwide. We're all nationwide. That's just kind of part of the business. But how can it create efficiency and be cost effective is an important question. Because you have two different ways to look at that. Are you getting the best price per mile for this particular run? Or is the company you're hiring going to cost you more in the long run by a lost customer? Efficiency is key. Scheduling is key. Making sure that the carrier that you hire takes proper care of the freight that's on their truck is also key. These are all things that will save you money in the long run on the cost end of things. I can hire a truck for $1,200 and be the best price out there, or I could hire a truck for $1,450, and that extra $250 gives the guy a little bit more incentive to be on time, or that $250 covers the costs of the extra labor to properly secure this particular load and protect it from weather elements or snow, ice, salt, road debris, and whatnot. So my outlook is I always try to be the most cost effective in the long run. So if I think a load needs this and I have a carrier call me and they want X, Y, and they want a little bit higher on that price, right? I'll call if I think that carrier is worth it, and if I think he is justified in asking for that number, I will call my customer and I'll say, hey, listen, I can go the cheaper route, but I have this guy. He's really trustworthy. I've used him before. I know he's going to get the job done. He wants a little bit of extra money. Can we make this happen? And like I said, right back from the beginning with the transparency, I'll tell my customer what that carrier wants to get the job done right. And what my customers have found is that when I'm approaching them with that, it is helping them in the long run because I've saved them customers. So if for hay, for example, if you run a load of hay and the guy doesn't have good tarps and it rains on that hay, that you can't feed that hay to the horses now. You can't feed them to the cows. Or if I run a machine for a guy and it's a brand new machine, you can get the lowest guy, the lowest bidder, and he's just gonna throw some chains on that machine. Or you can hire a guy that's dependable and knows what he's doing. Now he's gonna put rubber matting between the paint and the chains. So that machine's gonna show up and it's gonna have no paint chips on it, like Caterpillar is a big example of that. They're sticklers for that. When you pick up a machine from Cat, that machine has to show up on site with not a single sign that a chain was even on it. And that's one of the things that you can focus on in regards to price versus cost. It's either you're going to pay the lowest now and possibly, you may not have that customer forever, or you pay a couple $100 more now and that customer is extremely happy and that customer keeps coming back to you for the lifetime of your contract.
Okay. Awesome. Well, is there anything in general that we missed that I failed to ask that maybe you wanted to add?
In general, no. It's just in what aspects? What areas? I mean, in regards to just transportation wise, I think we covered most of it. In regards to entrepreneurship, that subject can go on for days and days. Just keep working hard and keep being as good as you can be, and service first. Quality first over quantity always. You make sure you're the highest quality out there, and your customers will appreciate that. And you'll be looked at first over the best price for sure.
Absolutely. So how can people get a hold of you? Where can they find you?
Well, they can stop by our website. It's AM Freight Management LLC.com. And then all of our contact information is on there, our emails, our phone numbers, and our social media. So one-stop shop, AM Freight Management LLC.com. You'll also see the 5 questions page on there as well. So even if you weren't to decide to use us, have a little bit of ammunition to carry with you on your, when you're making your calls and prospecting for who you want to handle your freight. You'll have an idea of what to ask also in regards to just protecting yourself and making sure that you're taken care of.
Perfect. I'm gonna put all that in the show notes, so it's super easy to find. You just go click on it. But if anybody would like to get in touch with Anthony, absolutely reach out. There's an entire world out there that you're gonna walk away knowing more than you did going in. Right? There's gonna be a lot of experience that's gonna come through, and you're gonna be able to have some takeaways. Just those 5 questions itself. Regardless of who you go with, you need to know them. So absolutely reach out, have that conversation. If anybody would like to get a hold of me, you can visit us at ikag.me, where you can find more episodes, subscribe to our newsletter, connect with our growing community of awesome people like Anthony. If you or somebody would like to be interviewed, you can also apply on the website. But Anthony, I really appreciate you coming on, taking the time and, kind of teaching us a little bit. So I hope we all go out, we can put it to use, have an awesome day and grow our circles. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you as well, because it's important to have people like you that are getting everybody out there. And, contacts are contracts. And if you don't know somebody, you're not going to be able to do business with them. And, I think what you're doing is really great for the business community in general, no matter what sector of the business they're in. Everybody needs to meet people. And I think this is a great way to do it.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Take care.
Not a problem.